Hey everybody, this is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
And we're happy to have Moviebob with us again today. Hey Bob, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Bob, where can listeners find you online? I forgot to ask you that last time we were online. It was like at the end of the thing, but you know.
That's okay. You can find my reviews at Moviebob's Escape to the Movies on escapistmagazine.com. On Fridays, The Big Picture on Tuesdays. The Game Overthinker updating on screwattack.com whenever I feel like it. And my new political show, American Bob, just debuted on YouTube this past week.
Sweet.
He's got 4 jobs.
4 separate entities. I have to tell you, so we're preparing to, in my preparation to talk about Green Lantern, Bob sent me a couple of links to his videos, and I must say I was very impressed with the comprehensive Green Lantern coverage. It's good stuff. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about Green Lantern, which comes out today. We're recording on Friday. And Mr. Popper's Penguins, the Jim Carrey comedy. And also, we're for those of you who don't know, we do this podcast in Boston. In fact, we're recording at Panera Bread across the street from the Coolidge Corner Theater.
Great theater.
Yeah, terrific theater. Panera, great place to eat. However, there, of course, is a lot of noise in the background. So you never know. You could hear a toilet flush. You could hear a baby cry. I don't know what other...
crying baby flushing the toilet.
Right.
They have the ambient music going, though. That's not so bad.
A gaggle of people talking. I don't know. It's the editing around the baby crying. That was the really tough one. But, so anyway, so we apologize for any of the noise that goes with the atmosphere of recording in a place where people gather.
Well, it's Cambridge, though, so it's going to be polite banter.
Yeah.
And that kind of
The
thing.
baby did cry very politely.
Yeah.
We're also going to...
I love coming to Cambridge. Even the homeless are polite. It's fantastic. It's terrific.
It's a world unto itself.
Yeah.
Although technically, I have to correct you. We're in Brookline.
Close enough.
We're just across the
Brookline is more or less Cambridge. It still feels like Cambridge.
And there's the kind of conversation we're talking about.
Exactly.
So what else are we going to talk about? Stakeland.
Yeah, we can do Stakeland.
Briefly, it opens this week at the Brattle. Cool. I believe it's playing there all week.
You didn't see Submarine?
I did not see Submarine.
You didn't see it, Bob?
No, I didn't.
All right, so let's talk about Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, which is not the Green Hornet. That was the bad superhero movie with green in it from earlier this year.
But, I do want to, 2 asides. First of all, the Mad Magazine just came out, and Green Lantern is spoofed on the cover.
Great.
And it's probably better than the movie.
Probably.
And I went to the 11 o'clock screening this morning, and I'm happy to announce they threw a drunk out at 10:45 this morning.
Nice.
A drunk old man got thrown out of the Commons today.
There's still a story that tops that.
Oh, yeah?
From the Mr. Popper's Penguin screening.
Oh, yes. There was a fist fight. There was a fist fight at Mr.
The fist fight that broke out in the back row.
At Mr. Popper's Penguin?
Yeah.
Kid you not. In a theater half filled with children. Oh. And not only did it turn into a punch being thrown, the vociferous swearing that was happening about 45 minutes to an hour into the movie.
And this you touch my fucking wife. And this is the one I didn't go to see. God damn.
Yes, it was just
you can start a fight. In fact, So there's something in the air. I guess thank God the Bruins won. If they had lost, they'd be fights everywhere.
That's what I thought was going to happen during the... we saw the Green Lantern during Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, so I thought there was going to be a lot of light pollution from PDAs. Yeah. Didn't happen. No.
The light pollution was all coming from the screen.
Good point, John. Good point, Bob.
Although, did you notice... Just a fair one of you. I do not care about spoilers on this movie, so I'm going to be spoiling the crap out of it.
Yeah, I think let's just do it.
Did you see the theater erupted in like ironic applause at the thing at the end because the guy is wearing black and yellow?
Oh,
Sinestro? It was sort of hurtful because you were like. Yeah. Well, we just experienced what we experienced, and then they're assuming that there's going to be a sequel, and there's that sort of awkward thing, like it's like I knew it's like not having a good fun time at the party and then being asked back again.
And there was a super nerd at the screening this morning too, who was telling me all about Sinestro as I tried to get out as quickly as I could.
Sinestro was never even me, who only has a working knowledge of the Green Lantern, even I knew that when you saw this guy for the first time on the screen, and he apparently was Green Lantern's friend. No, it was confusing because he visually was the bad guy.
What clued you in? The fact that he was walking around saying, "I'm a bad guy," or that his name is Sinestro?
Yeah.
That this is one of the lovely things about this movie is that there's this character who spends the whole movie looking like a bad guy, acting like a bad guy. The only good acting in the movie is coming from Mark Strong as Sinestro. He's the only thing close to a good actor in this. And he
Widow's Peak.
He spends the whole movie looking like a bad guy, acting like a bad guy, and then going through this kind of like C-story arc of, you know, getting mad at his bosses and wanting to use a different weapon than he's supposed to use. And, you know, then so they're leading you into this big surprise reveal after half the credits that he's going to be a bad guy, which everyone who knows the story already knows. But even if you don't, this person's name is Sinestro. That's not a surprise that he's a bad guy. It's like
really, there weren't that many surprises.
It's like Evil Roy Slade. You know he's a bad guy. His name is Evil Roy Slade.
So, John, this is still fresh on your mind. What do you think? Shall we go ahead?
No, I was just bored. You know, this is different from Thor, and then I actually used to like Green Lantern comics. You know, and there have been so many different Green Lanterns over the years and stuff. But I always liked the thing that was cool was that whatever he imagined came out. You know, whether it was a fist or anything. And I guess this Green Lantern just doesn't have much of an imagination except for the big fight.
They didn't really get to it in the movie. That actual ability of the ring wasn't even brought into the narrative until like halfway through the movie. And come on, face it. If you had a ring that could just make anything you thought up, first of all, I'd be arrested like within 10 seconds. But I would be sitting around all day making shit.
Yeah. It's this bizarre thing where it's, you know, because again they want to they're clearly trying to imitate the Batman Begins by holding the bad guy people want to see for the second movie, which they're not going to get. I can almost guarantee that's not going to happen. So they show this big training montage where he's like fighting other Green Lanterns, and they're both like, you know, I make a sword, I make a chainsaw, I make a gun, and you're thinking, oh man, think of a great action scene you can get from this. And then the two bad guys he has to fight in the movie are a cloud in space that he just kind of flies around at, and a guy with a big head who's like psychic and in a wheelchair, and that he can just kind of kick around. Yeah. It's boring.
The worst bad guy. Poor Peter Skarsgård. Having to, you know, when he was a quote-unquote normal kind of guy, he was annoying, but then he gets some alien DNA in him, and he grows this really elephant man head.
I have a question about that. I have a question. Let me before I get to the summary. Apparently, Peter Sarsgaard's character, by exposing himself to this whatever it is, the radiation,
yellow. He's exposed to the yellow. It's the mythology of this movie is that colors have feelings. Green is good, yellow is bad. That's pretty much all you need to know.
And purple and pink get you laid.
Pretty much.
You notice there's no purple or pink in this movie.
No,
but there are purple and pink in the comics.
There's violet lanterns and indigo lanterns and blue lanterns.
Indigos.
The indigo tribe. Yes. They're not even a corps. I
was intrigued by the orange lanterns.
Yes. There's only one.
Oh,
because orange is greed, so there's only one. So he's Agent Orange. And then I'm not making that up.
How could you?
And apparently the Orange Lantern suffers from like one particular feeling or emotion, and I can't recall what it was.
Avarice.
Okay.
Orange is avarice.
And then you talked about in one of your videos the yellow Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, the Scarecrow from the Batman books was a yellow lantern for a brief period.
Wow.
Just a strange Chris Pratt.
We're digging
for
deep.
some reason.
Is that the entire summary?
No, I'm not going to do that. But the point I was going to make really quickly about Sarsgaard's character was that exposure, I thought, at least I heard somewhere, killed him. He actually died from the exposure and was reanimated. So what we in fact seeing is a reanimated version of the character that doesn't even have a soul, and yet has his soul extracted from him.
Yeah, I don't know if he's supposed to be dead. He seems to be traditionally and this doesn't pay much attention to the mythology. Hector Hammond in the comics traditionally is just a guy who touched some alien stuff and then his head got big.
Well, I
remember the first time I touched alien stuff.
They did a press
my head
conference.
got big.
In the press conference for the Green Lantern, I think I recall Sarsgaard saying that his character died of radiation poisoning.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's something.
So this is an incarnation of him that is perhaps reanimated.
Right.
And you would never get this from the movie.
No. And they wait forever for him to be a bad guy. Like you would think, okay, we have two bad guys. One is like this all-powerful, octopus made of clouds in space. That there's like the movie's version of Parallax. And then you have this other guy who's like, okay, here's the human bad guy and the monster bad guy. You'd think that they would have the human bad guy turn bad in the middle of the second act, so that they'd have something to do for the whole middle of this movie.
It doesn't happen.
No, it's like both bad guys show up right at the end. Poor Angela Bassett is in this doing nothing.
They have such a waste of talent. I mean, I giggled when Tim Robbins came on.
Tim Robbins is, what's his name?
It was almost as funny as when he's the president in the Austin Powers movie.
Yeah.
It was almost that cheesy, that he's the senator. And then Angela Bassett, I kept looking at her and going, no, that can't be,
no, that's her.
Used to have a career.
Well, she was just in that Tyler Perry movie.
Yeah, well.
I should probably get to the summary real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan Reynolds plays Hal Jordan, who's a
Maverick from Top Gun.
Yeah, he's like the test pilot.
Yeah, firefighter.
The Chuck Yeager of the future, or
Sorry,
this
Chuck.
reality.
Yeah.
And the movie, as John and I were just talking about prior recording, starts out with this testing sequence where they're testing a new jet, and he's going head to head with what's her name?
Blake Lively.
Blake Lively.
Talk about a bad name for a bad actor.
God,
fellow pilot.
The most ironically named human being on the planet is Blake Lively.
So they go through this Top Gun scenario where I don't even for a second believe that Blake Lively can fly this plane. Because she just her model aesthetic just doesn't work for the Top Gun.
Did you notice that her logo and nickname are Sapphire, which is another tease for sequels?
So she becomes.
In the comics, Carol Ferris becomes Star Sapphire, who's a villain.
I was going to say. So at some point, she becomes his enemy.
Yeah, she does. She doesn't like him.
It's a typical me comparison, but there's an adult film called Top Guns that features porno stars flying jets, and they're much more convincing.
I still think last week's quote, as far as like porn star names goes, in Brett describing the evolution of the lens flare, horizontal bloom, that's still the best. So okay, Blake Lively. It just I'm sure she's a great person and everything.
Yeah, she seems
not working here. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, two of the nicest people in the world.
Oh yeah,
Ryan, a terrific guy, an incredible sense of humor. There's nothing. I'm going to say there's nothing wrong with Ryan Reynolds in the film. He's really a fun actor to watch, but it's the film that is fundamentally deficient. It's not Ryan Reynolds' fault.
Well, he's been badly directed too.
He took the check. So
there's a lot of scenes of him staring off into space and not emoting clearly it's because he's standing on a green screen set and not receiving any direction. So like the scenes of him being serious in this movie, like when he's supposed to look all pained, they look like he's doing a piss take of someone else's movie. It looks like this movie was made with someone else playing the part, and then a year later, Ryan Reynolds hosted the MTV Movie Awards, and they've edited him into the movie to make fun of it.
His self-consciousness has a humorous quality, and it always comes across on screen, which is a good thing, which is actually pretty good. The construct within which he's working doesn't really work. But let me get to the summary. So, as confusing as I found this movie, Ryan Reynolds is this. His father was also a test pilot, and as far as he knew, his father never had a problem with fear.
Yes,
fear is, I guess, the Green Lantern's big thing. It's the thing he's trying to.
Fear is bad.
Right.
Fear is yellow.
Right.
Yellow is bad.
Fear is yellow. Yellow is bad.
And so I guess we slowly come to learn on our own accord, not so much because of the movie, I suppose. By his human powers, his ability to overcome fear, and everybody's supposed to respect that and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, he has a father issue. The confusing part for me is towards the beginning of the film when we meet Sinestro, which is you have your like Thor, you've got your Earth part of the movie, and then you've got your otherworldly part of the movie. Here I don't remember what the planet's called.
Oa.
Thank you. Planet of the Universe, I believe.
Oa.
And Abin Sur is the Green Lantern representative that I guess is being expulsed from this universe because of parallax, some sort of confrontation he's having.
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain that a little.
This is one of those movies that you could tell that they knew that it wasn't working, because there's this giant dump of information at the beginning, which we also get later, and that they knew everyone was confused. But Abin Sur is supposed to be protecting this sector of space, I guess ours and everything else, and he gets killed by parallax, which is a monster made of fear that lives out in space and does bad stuff, and he crashes on Earth, and so he gives his ring to Ryan Reynolds to be the new Green Lantern from this area.
Right. So
the ring chooses, and the ring doesn't make mistakes.
Yes.
They basically establish Reynolds' humanity, and then there's the extraterrestrial contact that happens in some swamp in. They filmed it in Louisiana. I don't know where it takes place here, but anyway, he gets the ring from Abin Sur, and then it slowly comes to realize the ring's powers. He's like, how the hell can I just travel 100 miles in a bubble, and then and then this just whatever. So at some point, I guess he's freaking transferred to Oa.
Yep.
And is inducted into the Legion of Green Defenders or whatever. Bob, help me out here.
Green Lantern Corps.
Thank you. And inducted into the Green, or introduced to the Green Lantern Corps by Jeffrey Rush, the Chicken of the Sea.
Yeah, Tomar Ray.
And this is where we are introduced to the powers of the ring and the responsibilities of the Green Lantern Corps, and the fact that they're trying to defend something like 3,600 universes. Each universe has their own ring bearer. Each ring bearer has their way of doing things. One of the things is that we as humans are very new to them. We are insignificant in some sense compared to the other races, and compared to the immortals, who basically run everything and treat everything as sort of insignificant, I suppose. But
none of this is as interesting as he's making it sound, by the way. Like, I know you're getting a lot of alien names. I think it's like, wow, there must be so much going on. No, there isn't.
It's pretty much read to you from the screen.
Yeah, it's so rote and boring.
Yeah, it's. How is Sinestro or Abin Sur? See, I'm getting this all mixed up.
Yeah.
He is his character. How does the guy get freaking poisoned again? He's Peter Sarsgaard's character brings in.
The cloud shot him.
Yeah, they.
So when he reaches in, which is the most ridiculous shot, the point of view from inside the body.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay. There's this whole alien autopsy thing with Peter Sarsgaard's character going on. That's like another movie. Like there's a David Cronenberg movie in the middle of the movie.
This is where things kind of were splitting apart for me. I mean, I haven't had. I used to just when I become disinterested, I doze off. I dozed off for maybe 5 or 10 minutes in this movie.
Yeah.
Just because it was just like whatever. It got to be like whatever. But then, I'm not so critical of Peter Sarsgaard's character as you guys were. I actually thought that it was pretty cool when he got. When he finally realized his powers and stuff.
I like the big head.
Yeah, the big head. But in trying to explain the narrative of the film, there's so many things going on.
Yeah.
The big head, didn't she just want him to turn to the screen and say, "I'm not an animal"?
Yeah.
There was the Elephant Man. Yeah, he had that.
It's. But it's nice to see one person in this movie walking around in good practical makeup and not having their whole costume painted onto them with a computer.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
This movie proves that there is a certain advantage to doing your practical makeup, even from an actor's standpoint. I know that having worked on set, people treat you differently.
Oh yeah.
You perceive yourself as being different when in this makeup. So, in a sense, this movie isn't without its interesting stuff.
Oh yeah.
It has its entertaining moments, but.
You remember the old Flash TV series?
Oh yeah.
And that was a practical costume.
The Flash TV, John Wesley Shipp, that was great.
Yeah, and he kind of looked silly, but it also looked real. Yeah, it just looked like Ryan Reynolds was trying to hold his head too still because it'll throw off the.
Yeah, but what about this? The costume itself is supposedly isn't real anyways. It's supposed to be made of it doesn't exist. It's supposed to be a pure energy.
It's something else.
Like
the
he
ring
pinches
is
his waist to ooh.
Yeah.
Look at
so if they did a practical costume for Green Lantern and then they said that this is pure energy, it wouldn't really. It's just their idea of having it translate.
We see the ring making a flamethrower out of green energy that shoots real fire somehow later on. So I'm not sure that anyone would have noticed or cared. It's more the effect of it is that you can tell he's not getting the right direction.
Who directed this?
Martin Campbell.
Oh, by the way, I want to say, Martin Campbell said, Bob, before you go in on this film, he said the first thing, the paramount thing that you have to understand about making this movie, the paramount responsibility is you want the fans to like the movie. Because God help you if they don't.
Yeah, God help him. God help. God. It took Jeff Johns, the comic book writer who's been like in charge of Green Lantern for the past decade or so. It's taken him like multiple series and such things to make Green Lantern cool again, and
to fix it.
To get Green Lantern back into like a relevant popular culture character. And this movie has undone that in almost 90 minutes. I don't think the Green Lantern is toxic after this. It'll make its money this weekend. It will not be a sustained hit. The fans are going to hate it. I really doubt they're going to get a sequel. I think it'll be like Ang Lee's Hulk, which I thought was okay, but where it makes its money and then everyone shits on it for a whole bunch of time and then they do it again with someone else. Wow. And I think no one is going to want to make like Green Lantern cartoons or sell Green Lantern toys. Green Lantern is done as an anything but comic book character.
The writers and producers brought this to Warner Brothers as a 3-movie series.
Yeah,
and they made a huge commitment.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was $400 million. You said it was 3.
Well,
are you saying
studio math is always nebulous. Right up front, they said they were going to spend $200 million on this thing, so that's a huge budget already. The amount of marketing they've done would have cost $100 million at least to begin with, and they've had to remarket it because their original marketing was terrible. So they have the new dishonest marketing that makes it look much more interesting. And then they went back and spent another who knows how much fixing the effects afterwards. So it's very likely that this thing cost up between $400 and $450 million. And it's not going to make that back. Wow. Your overseas gross can only carry you so much. DVD sales have bottomed out. They've spent Avatar money, and this is not Avatar. It's
a dead face after that.
Yeah, it's I feel injured by this movie in a way that I haven't felt since the first Transformers movie. Like the second Transformers movie, I was ready for it because I'd seen the first one, but the first one I was going in like, okay, what's this going to be? And then like 15 minutes in, I was going, oh no, what have you done?
All right, well, let's look at it like this. There are small elements in the movie that work, that are entertaining. The scenes where Peter Sarsgaard's character, whose name I forget,
Hector Hammond.
Hector starts using his powers for the first time. That is actually
that's kind of cool. He could have been the villain of the whole movie and given some time, and maybe it would have been better. I mean, do we remember? Have we all seen The Fifth Element? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, in The Fifth Element, where the bad guy in that movie is like a ball of evil flowing towards Earth, and in that movie, that's a joke. They're making fun of the whole, all-powerful evil force thing in sci-fi movies by having it just be a big ball of evil, and everyone just keeps saying, "No, you don't understand. It's evil." And this movie's doing that, but it's not joking. It really expects us to give a shit that there's a big cloud with a scary face in it that's shooting towards Earth.
And there's this you talk about the special effects, and there are, again, I just saw it, but there's a scene where Green Lantern is trying to lead the ball of smoke to the sun. And there's just this scene, and I haven't seen this bad an animated scene. It looked like they had a cutout of the bad guy. Like in the old Star Treks, when you watch Star Trek on TV, so you can see the outline of the cell around where you can almost see the outline of the cloud.
They had a similar problem with Green Lantern approaching the balcony of her apartment, where he seemed like he was just jittering. What's amazing to me is that Sony ImageWorks, I think, did the effect. They spent over a year in R&D just on, mostly on trying to animate Parallax, which is this giant soul-sucking creature that basically feeds on fear. And I believe the creators of this felt that he was a more, since that character has been around the DC universe, I feel like they just wanted to somehow work it in.
Well, I think they have to mention it because it's especially right now, it's such an important part of the mythology, having the different gods of the motion running around the DC universe and things like that. I think they wanted to have it in there and to set it up, but it doesn't work. It
was funny because when you mentioned the apartment. moment where Green Lantern lands on her balcony.
Oh, God.
Is that the fakest looking? It looks such like a badly lit movie set.
This looks like a canon movie from like 1989 in some of its blue screen shots. Like it's like their CGI isn't badly animated, but like it's integrated so badly. And of course the 3D isn't doing it any favors.
Right.
But it's going down, and it's like, am I really looking at something that looks this fake? Like Superman 4: The Quest for Peace has better flying
This
scenes
is a Warner Bros.
for this movie.
You got the impression that this was like Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder standing on the balcony.
I
Superman.
do not believe a man can fly.
It didn't work. Although that moment was funny because she made that joke about his. How would you think that you couldn't recognize me?
They're making fun of Green Lantern's mask.
Right. How could you not recognize me just because you're covering?
Do you remember when you were a kid, they used to have those things called snakes, and they're like a little black tablet, and you'd light them with a match, and they would come out like paper.
That's what Parallax looks like.
It is, yeah. It looks like they had lit them behind some buildings, and then when the snakes wrapped around the buildings, it's like, ooh, Parallax.
And the live action stuff in the movie doesn't look good either. Like the for such a big movie, the whole thing looks like it's being shot on the Warner backlot. If there was still a backlot, there's until the end of this movie, I don't think there's ever more than 15 people on screen, except for one shot that's at a party. Whole scenes take place in big empty parking lots. Hey, quick question for you guys: do you remember? Because it's been a little while since I saw it, and I this could just me being angry and ignoring things. They spend a whole long 10-minute scene introducing Hal Jordan's family, like his brother, his sister, and his sister's kid that he seems to have this whole relationship with. Nothing important happens in this scene. And do we ever see those people again?
That's probably exposition.
Yeah, well, you know what it is because thinking back on it is because in that scene he futzes around with the kids' Matchbox cars, and then later on makes a big Matchbox car with the ring. In
the worst helicopter crash scene I've ever seen. I felt bad for Tim Robbins trying to look, he's like the camera's on him so much trying to look frightened, and it's just the helicopter's no more than 10 feet in the air when it gets hit with a beer tap and then starts to spin out of control slowly.
Yeah.
And it just hangs in the 10 feet of air for the longest time until Green Lantern has saves it with a Hot Wheels.
We see it go bad, and then we see Blake Lively as Carol Ferris on her phone calling the cops, so that in the time it's taking this helicopter to crash, she's had time to pull out the phone, dial her people, and call the emergency team.
Oh, and she still has to run back so that the facade
can fall on her, and so that Green Lantern can save her and get this reveal of the superhero thing, which is great because these people have just seen a Matchbox car made of light catch a helicopter, but that doesn't seem to bother them, but they seem really like awed in this kind of the Messiah has arrived scene for Ryan Reynolds standing around in his pajamas.
Plus the whole thing where they're shooting this it's the aerospace technology firm and the government have got this big contract to make these drone airplanes, and even when they pull up and they're supposed to be outside of the airplane factory, I was like, what building is that? Because it's a fake building. They just slap some neon sign in front of.
Yeah, it's there. I think that they took the responsibility of putting exposition in this movie too far.
Well, and I also think they did it after the fact.
Yeah, well, and also it looks like, to be fair, it looks like it's been cut to hell. I mean, 145 minutes is a weird length for a movie.
That's how long it was?
Yeah, it's only a little over an hour and a half.
Well, Bob, get ready for this. Transformers.
I know.
The Transformers starts
at
156.
That's 2.5 hours.
No, I mean it's an hour and 45 minutes.
Okay,
I believe so. It's
105.
It's not very long, but it
feels long.
It feels long, but it feels like it's been hacked to pieces. And I get the sense that there was a lot more movie that was even worse that they cut out, and that's why the family disappears and whatnot. Because there's again, this will be some geekery. There'll be 4 people going yeah, I get that. Angela Bassett, when her character shows up, I don't know if in your screening or ours, there were some people when she was, my name is Dr. Amanda Waller, half the theater kind of goes, ah. Amanda Waller is not a Green Lantern character, but a random person who's in everyone's books, government agent character from DC Comics. So when she shows up and she starts waving around this little pad that has a logo on it that they keep showing but don't tell us what it is, it seems like at one point this was supposed to be like Nick Fury in the Avengers movies of setting up an interconnected continuity, and that they just kind of went backwards on that. I know for a fact that the script for this had references to people like Clark Kent and Barry Allen that were cut out of the movie. that they didn't film. So it seems like there was a bigger plan here that they kind of said, you know what, fuck it, let's just try and make what
That's
money
probably
we
how
can
they
off
got
this
Angela
thing.
Bassett to sign on. Like, oh,
Yeah,
you're part of a 10-movie arc.
You'll get to be, well, like Samuel L. Jackson gets to be in like 9 movies now. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's getting a paycheck for showing up for 5 minutes in every Marvel movie.
Yeah, and I bet
Clark
it's
Gregg
quite-
never has to work a day in his life.
Yeah, I bet it's quite a paycheck,
Yeah,
too.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I just want to say that the movie's climactic scene, the Parallax squirming its way through the city, is just it's ridiculous.
Remember Dragon Wars?
Yes.
And I love Dragon Wars, and Dragon Wars was so much better than this.
But if you replace the dragons rapping through buildings with this paper smoke thing, it would be the same scene.
Well, and get ready, because there's like a big octopus tentacle thing going up the buildings in the Transformers trailer. So
Yeah.
apparently every like major Hollywood director really loved Dragon Wars because they keep stealing from it.
What is this thing? I mean, is Parallax, with all the people running away from Parallax, is it getting larger because people are afraid of it? I mean, it's they've got these scenes where they're running down the street and souls are being sucked back, and sort of like War of the Worlds kind of thing, where people are just sort of disintegrating.
The movie's version of Parallax is really I mean, I guess they couldn't use the one from the comics where Parallax is like a big half dragon, half praying mantis yellow thing in space. But this one, it's like do you remember Fantastic Four 2 when they had Galactus, and Galactus was just a storm? It was like weather.
Right.
It's basically that. It's got like a big alien head in the middle of it, which looks very fake. Like this.
Well, it looks like they took the Wizard of Oz head and just kind of dirtied it up a bit.
You know what it is? It's Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parallax is Clancy Brown. We've solved the mystery.
The Kurgan, the man, the Highlander.
It's I'm running out of adjectives to describe how bad Green Lantern
Bob. Okay, so the coda in the movie doesn't happen after the credits.
It happens,
during the credits. For fear people won't make it through the end of the credits.
there were people who will run out, which is again the surprise of this movie, like the surprise that this is building to this movie's version of Christian Bale getting handed the card that says the Joker at the end of Batman Begins is Mark Strong as Sinestro. And how awesome is Mark Strong that he is in this movie wearing the same stupid CGI costume as Ryan Reynolds, but actually looking like he's wearing a military uniform just by
with
intonation.
full face makeup and everything else.
He has pink face makeup. Like Mark Strong in this movie has pink face makeup, Spock ears, a widow's peak, and a slightly whiplash mustache. And he is doing such a better job than Ryan Reynolds is playing the same character he plays in every movie. And it's him. He puts on this ring and gets his yellow Sinestro Corps uniform, and it's the thing is, nothing has set this up. We get a few things throughout the movie that say, okay, Sinestro's kind of pissed off at his bosses, and they make like this yellow lantern ring that's going to be a big weapon thing, and then they don't let him put it on, and then he puts it on at the end and suddenly immediately turns evil, like
Yeah, fear is the enemy, so let's make a big fear.
Did you see that Onion magazine title? Finally, Hollywood brings us all of Green Lantern's minor characters that America's been waiting for.
Yes. The posters for this movie have had all of the Green Lantern Corps like standing around with Ryan Reynolds, and like they've purposefully
it's a group thing.
Yeah, they purposefully put all of these like the fan favorite characters into the poster, and they're in like there's one scene in this movie where you can see anyone else in the Green Lantern Corps. At one point, there's a fight in space where the four we're told 5 of my best men are going to fight Parallax, and we can't see who they are, and they lose right away, and we're like, wow, those guys died.
5 of my guests, slightly out of focus effects, are going to join me.
Yeah, it's
the and then the thing is, they put out that animated movie.
Yeah, the Emerald Knights.
Yeah,
how is it? I didn't
it's
see
actually,
it.
in comparison, it's brilliant, but it's actually pretty good because it takes Hal Jordan's kind of a link between 3 or 4 stories about other core members, and it looks a lot better.
Yeah.
It's got better action, and the drill instructor Kilowog is voiced by Henry Rollins, which just cracks me up.
Which is Michael Clark Duncan in the movie. Which is,
well, you know what they always try and do is when they're being asked questions about making the movie, is like, oh, we always try to make it look like the comic.
Yeah.
And maybe in some ways they succeeded in making it look like the comic, but that itself just didn't translate well to being a movie.
It doesn't look much like any Green Lantern comic that I've ever seen, and if they thought that the way that they were going to get fans to really fall in love with the movie was to keep mentioning minor details that don't matter. Like, how many times during this movie do they tell us that there are 308,066 Green Lanterns? At least twice. This mentions, and the thing is, I love comics, and I didn't know the exact number, but this movie makes sure to tell you at the beginning when Jeffrey Rush is explaining the movie to you.
Yeah.
It's one of those beginnings, and this is not information that we don't need. This isn't like Thor, where they have to set up everything that happened first. This is all stuff they tell us later. They just don't want you, the audience, to be any more confused right away.
Yeah.
Like, the ancient Guardians made a planet, and from that planet they made 866,000 rings and sent them to 386,000 worlds. And I'm watching, and I'm like, I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, this is why people who hate superhero movies hate these things. Mm-hmm. You know, like I can deal with it, but like that beginning, if I was someone who was on the fence about Green Lantern, I would have been watching that going, done.
I was drowning.
Done.
I was drowning, but I had a really good laugh. There's that showdown moment between Green Lantern and Hector and Carol in the factory.
Yeah.
In the hangar. I don't know what it was.
Some warehouse in Southern California.
Where the standoff is that Hal's going to give Hector the ring.
Yep.
Hal transforms into normal Hal.
Yep.
And basically puts the ring in his hand and says, here, you can not only have your Hector's abilities, you can also have the power of the ring.
Which Hector does not know what the Green Lantern ring is yet, has had no interaction with him as the Green Lantern, has no idea what the ring does, or at least maybe he did in a scene that got cut, but apparently now he's going, here, you can have the Green Lantern ring.
So he uses his powers
that came with it.
So he uses his power of levitation to bring the ring from Hal's hand over to Hector, and Hector puts it on. And then the reveal is that, oh, wait a second, things still work for me even though I don't have the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like jipping us.
Yeah.
We thought that he was supposed to be completely defenseless.
Yeah, and then...
It's just a Buddhist moment.
How did he know this?
Laying himself down.
Yeah, how did Ryan Reynolds has been a Green Lantern for all of a week, and he's had 10 minutes of training.
Well, there is a throwaway line where...
Isn't it like, wait a second, I lied. Yeah, I'm the one who lied.
Yeah, there is a throwaway line where, he gets the ring and he suddenly blurts out some factoids.
Yeah.
The ring teaches a lot.
And yet they still have to tell him stuff otherwise, so it's like the Green Lantern, you put it on, and it teaches you all the alien languages and all the facts that will not be spoilers.
Right.
So Hal starts using it, or Hector starts using the ring to kick the shit out of Hal.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Carol's also in the facility.
Yeah.
She doesn't. She as Hal first entered the facility, she was levitated up in the middle of it with a little a syringe next to her neck. So if Hal does anything for Hector's going to plunge the syringe into her neck and basically give her radiation poisoning or whatever.
Give her big head.
Yeah.
Give her big head.
Good joke there, but I'm letting it slide.
He's been distracted, whatever. Carol falls to the ground. Instead of immediately going to help Hal, she runs to the computer. So all this action's going on, and she's like furiously tapping.
She's tweeting about it.
Yeah. I mean, we're like,
and what in the movie has told us that she's good with computers? We have a guy who's good with computers who is not in this scene.
The nerdy foreigner.
Apparently, a laptop in that facility. Operates all the guns on the ships.
Yeah.
So you can just be sitting, like Panera with your laptop, and fire these weapons from whatever.
That's high technology. And hey, what about those guys that he got into a bar fight with afterwards? Because every superhero movie needs a scene of a guy beating people up in an alley, where like these guys who are
right.
Yeah,
the guys
they're mad at him because he got them fired. No, hold on. These are guys who are not like totally drunk, who he's just been in a fight with, and he hits them with a giant green fist made of smoke.
Three dead guys.
Yeah, and
he killed three. It looked like he killed three guys.
But one
went through a wall.
They never come back into the movie. And later on, don't you think this would be something they'd mention? Go to someone and say, it's like, hey, that guy who's been flying around making shit out of green stuff? Hal Jordan totally did that to us.
How could that crony possibly survive being smashed through a brick wall? Literally.
We're not worried about him.
Did you see how the way it collapsed? It was a fake wall.
I mean,
you could see it was a fake wall.
Okay, now hold on. Was one of those guys black? Was one of those two guys? Okay, because they supposedly one of the other Green Lanterns who is African American was supposed to be in the movie as well as like a supporting character, and I don't remember seeing him.
In the Justice League box set,
yeah,
it's a black Green Lantern.
Yeah, in the animated series they use John Stewart, who's the Green Lantern number 3. It's spelled with an H, so it's a different John Stewart.
When the bar fight, it's funny because, all right, there's two guys you've never seen before, and the third guy, the leader of the bad guys in the alley, was actually one of the suits in the conference room when Hal was, being dressed down. So I thought he was like a company executive. All of a sudden, he's got his workman clothes on, and he's starting to fight.
It's like he changed out of his suit and changed into coveralls and a newsboy cap to go to the bar.
Yeah, let's go.
Because everyone who gets fired is immediately an unemployed dock worker.
Right.
Oh my God! I don't know.
So,
I don't know. And just to
how do you think I feel? I'm getting to. I know what Blake Lively would have been wearing if she was in the next movie as Star Sapphire. How disappointed do you think I feel?
Have you
seen what Star Sapphire usually wears? It's not much.
I don't know. I guess I'd pay to see that movie.
I feel so bad about being so hard on January Jones from the X-Men movie for having no range, and she's like, girl Laurence Olivier in that compared to Blake Lively in this.
I hate to admit it, but I'm just confused. I really wanted to like this movie.
Yeah,
I really did.
I'm usually you get some warning that it's going to be this bad, and looking back on it, I was like, the costume has looked pretty bad the whole time. I didn't know it was going to be this bad. Like, I was going in hoping for, 80s Flash Gordon, and instead, this is, this is as bad as the first Transformers, as far as I'm concerned. It's not as bad as the second, but it's as bad as the first Transformers. It's as bad as... It's way worse than Pirates.
We're about to get into the third Transformers.
Oh, yeah, next week, 156 minutes, like I was saying.
Oh, God, 3...
He's not, Michael Bay's doing what he's not cutting it down.
Quick question, was this Green Lantern filmed to be in 3D or was it an after
This was filmed to be in 3D. They did film it to be in 3D. I don't know how much of it they filmed to be in 3D. I have a distinct impression that because so much of it was CGI, that they probably shot a lot of the live action in 2D and then, made the CGI in 3D because you can just flip a switch for that.
Right. The 3D, I think, was also one of the decisions that they were animating the suit and they felt that they could better represent that in 3D.
Warner Brothers has been obsessed with CGI costumes for a while. They tried to do it on Superman Returns and it didn't work. This has been like a thing that Warner Brothers, in making their superhero movies, has been really big on, is they want to paint the costumes onto the actors, which if you're an actor makes a lot of sense because this way you don't have to be like Christian Bale and turn yourself into the Hulk every time you need to play Batman.
There wasn't a coherency between Ryan Reynolds' head and the rest of the body.
It worked on Mark Strong, I'll give them that. And again, it could just be that Ryan Reynolds is not being well directed, so he's sitting there in a green body stocking, and he looks like he's wearing it, like he has the mannerisms of a guy who's walking around in Dr. Denton's. Yeah. Whereas, Mark Strong, who's been in the British theater system and knows his way through this stuff more, it looks like it's like, you know what? I buy that this guy is a soldier from space, and that is his.
He's Richard the Third,
and that's his.
There is a certain regalness.
He has this whole thing, and then the other aliens look okay in the costume because they're aliens. What are they going to do?
Right.
Jeffrey Rush's Tomar Ray looks good. Tomar Ray in the movie, I think a lot of the fans are going to be upset because he's such a happy guy, and he seems really thrilled. And in the comics, Tomar Ray is like depressed all the time.
I have to tell you, that scene where Hal walks in on the Immortals. Yeah. It says, I'm here because it's like I'm defying you and it's important. Yeah. They would have just shoot him away like a gnat.
Yeah, why do why do the Guardians give a damn about anything? Like, they're really ineffectual guys, none of whom seem to have personalities. One of them seems to be female, which is a huge departure from any of the Guardians.
And
I
kept thinking about those big-headed guys from that early Star Trek show.
Yeah, they look like the guys from the Menagerie.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm a nerd.
You are a nerd, Bob. That's why we have you.
They do, and they look terrible. It's just, I feel almost like
they're obviously very little people.
Yeah, they're
giant heads, and they're sitting on really tall chairs
with big robes.
When the robes go all the way to the ground,
which would be an interesting effect if Martin Campbell knew from sci-fi stuff and wasn't just shooting these in regular, wide shot medium like he's shooting guys at a corporate board meeting.
Oh, John, I just got to throw this in there. Tamura Morrison is Abin Sur.
Oh, Lord.
Boba Fett.
And Django Fett.
And Django Fett. I'm sorry. Django.
And all of the clone troopers. So Tamura Morrison, the lesson from this is he should stay away from big sci-fi movies, given his track record in them so far. And he's unrecognizable because he's wearing bad purple makeup as Abin Sur. And it's...
He is the prophet. He is the guy who brings the news to Hal that says, "You are going to save the world."
Yeah.
You know?
It chose you.
Yes. It did. It chose him. It chose him. It knew that he was responsible.
We know the Ring has a sense of humor.
And what bad drama is it that the whole thing of whether or not Hal is going to get his shit together is solved by... no, the Ring doesn't make mistakes, so you must be the guy. It's the worst kind of it's the worst kind of fantasy writing. Is this thing where it's a prophecy, so that's why it happens.
So the Ring also says when to Hector or to Hal, when Hector puts the ring on, you don't know me. I didn't choose you.
Yeah.
So something warped is going to happen.
And that's,
it's just, or you can't do what you thought you could do.
And that's they're kind of whipping their own mythology, because even in the Green Lantern comics, it's kind of a thing that it's not only one person can be the Green Lantern. It just kind of goes toward the best, closest candidate.
Yeah. My one giggle. No, that's right. My one giggle in the whole movie was when Ryan Reynolds was going to show the stereotypical ethnic minority computer geek.
Yeah.
How
He's
it
an
works.
Inuit.
How it works.
Yeah.
And he's like, ring, finger. I was like, okay, that's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
that was my one moment. I was like, yeah, okay.
The best thing that can come of this is that there will not be a sequel to this, so he does not have to be, constrained in Green Lantern movies. He can go back and make Deadpool like he was supposed to, which is a much better character for him.
He actually said that he never really got the feeling about ever.
He was Deadpool in the X-Men Origins Wolverine, and they did such a bad job of it that they said they were going to go back and give Deadpool his own movie.
He said he never ever really got the feeling of ever wearing the costume. He only could perceive it because, basically to him, Green Lantern was walking around in a suit like a crash test dummy with all these motion control sensors or motion whatever sensors on it. And so he never really saw himself.
If people remember how...
No, he did, but not in reality.
If people remember how uncomfortable Ewan McGregor looked in the first The Phantom Menace, Ryan Reynolds looks even more uncomfortable in this. Like, when you watch that first Phantom Menace, you can see, a lot of the actors just don't know where they are.
Like, give me a break.
Yeah, they have this kind of, and it's this. I mean, sometimes when they shoot these green screen movies, they will give people a frame of reference, and it doesn't look like they've given them a frame. Like in when they made that Beowulf. That movie that was all
I enjoyed it.
Which I liked, which was all CGI and was just actors being motion captured to get the whole characters. But if you see the making of stuff on that, when they had Ray Winstone, supposed to be fighting the big monster, they actually put him in a big room on a big robot thing to play that monster so that he would know what it was like to get yanked around so that he'd be giving a good performance. You can tell they did not do this shit with Ryan Reynolds, that he's just standing there and being told, you're looking at a cloud and it's scary. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's up on wires for some of the flying scenes, and it's just...
Yeah, there was he said that there was a lot of wire work, and there was a ton of wire work that they basically had to cut out because it just for whatever reason didn't work. While making the film, he said one of the things he had to develop for this character was his air awareness. It was like during wire work, they basically wanted him to have this awareness of where his body was in relation to the ground and doing all these flying. It just looked computery.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and how much better does Christopher Reeve look flying, lying down on a blue footstool, pointing at the camera?
This is the lesson: is that practical effects and makeup still have a relevant use.
Yes, they do.
The believability of a film.
Yep, it's.
So
this is going to go on for another 6 hours if I keep going. So it's just green light.
We got moving on.
Let's talk about practical effects with our next movie.
Oh my God! Okay,
Mr. Popper's
we get
Penguin.
to move on to Mr. Popper's.
But here's the thing: at the end of Mr.
Bear with us, people. I'm sorry to interrupt, but bear with us. We love movies.
Oh yeah.
We're about to trash another film, but it's all out of loving the cinematic experience and hoping that films will be better.
Steve may be about to trash it. I didn't see Mr. Popper's Penguin, so I may be a little silent. I did read the book, though.
Well, here's the thing. At the end of the movie, there's a line that says,
I never read the book.
no penguins were hurt in the making of this movie, but Jim Carrey was bitten several times. That came as a shock to me because I swear I did not for 1 second believe there was a real penguin in this movie. They all look computer generated because they hug when
Oh my
they're supposed
God,
to.
it was so
They wink,
annoying.
they talk,
And
they
penguins are
dance.
Completely understand the importance of this film and how kids will probably love it.
Kids love penguins.
But it's just a complete, trashing of like practicality, reality. How could a gaggle of penguins be walking down a New York street and nobody can notice this? Are we supposed to be? Is everyone in the audience supposed to be looking at this movie from the point of view of a child that says
Yes.
rational things that would happen?
Yes.
And so I had no trouble with that. I went with that feeling.
You're not going to make it through Zookeeper.
Unbelievable.
I just went with the whole thing. I didn't care about the practicality of it all. I didn't really care about the fact that but the thing was, I never felt that they used the real penguin. I always thought they were computer generated and not very well done.
Completely just trashing any concept of physics. The fact that he can turn his fucking apartment, this ultra modern apartment, into like Antarctica, and then you could build a skating rink around your staircase,
of it, Steve.
and then you can have like billowing snow with icicles coming down your staircase, and having penguins do flips and twirls inside, and they all fall all over each other, and it's funny. It's just pathetic.
But it's a kids' movie. It's a
It is a kids'
fantasy.
movie.
What's the matter with that?
It is a kids' movie, but are these 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds kids? No, some parent actually has to experience this.
But it wasn't that bad for parents. I found.
When I was 7, I probably would have assumed that I could turn my air conditioner up really high and keep.
And what's the matter with that?
It's okay. I see what you're saying. Fun for kids. It's
Did they do that in the book?
fanciful, but
in the book it's like the 1930s, and it's just
they
like
didn't have heating.
Yeah, it's just like a guy who's like, oh well, it's like Cheaper by the Dozen, but with penguins. Oh yes, I'll get some penguins and teach them how to dance. Tra la la.
Yeah. See, I let all that go. I didn't think too much about whether it was because, and I think it's because I didn't think the penguins were ever real.
So you gave this movie every chance in the world. You just had no.
I didn't think it was very well done. I thought it was a pretty bad story. It's pretty lame story.
So Jim Carrey, he plays this shyster, a salesman, a guy who makes big real estate deals, acquisitions. A guy who will tear down a landmark to build an office building.
Sight unseen.
Yeah.
Sight unseen. Is he a divorced man with children?
How'd you know? Separated, but
Separate. Really? By chance, do the talking funny animals help him reconnect with his family and learn what's really important?
you did see this.
Wow.
All these things. Yes.
Couldn't have called it.
The fact that he couldn't connect with his daughter, who was just completely disassociated with him, but the fact that he now has penguins, and then when they enter his apartment, it's such a different experience. Oh, God, you're such a cool dad. I don't know why.
And
I thought
when he
you were
learned
such
when
a
the
dork.
penguins had babies, he learned to be a father again.
Oh my God, that was one of the most
baby.
annoying scenes in the movie when they all gather around to watch the thing crack out of an egg, and it's like the camera's zooming in on the egg, and it's going, and everybody's like, oh, look at me.
It was perfect timing.
Oh my God.
What's wrong
Give
with
me
that,
a-
Steve?
This is. Let me get into the summary later, but this is Jim Carrey doing the Eddie Murphy route, doing the Cuba Gooding Jr. route, doing the I don't have my edge that I'm going to be like the I don't know what it is with Edge, dude. But this is the safe family routine.
This is Jenny McCarthy
This
gets
is,
old after a while. Get me out of the house.
This is Jim Carrey doing. I'm going to go to summer camp and manage a bunch of kids Cuba
At day
Gooding
school,
Jr.
or I'm
thing,
going to have a daughter whose drawings come
God.
alive. Or
somehow
is
this is valuable to an audience.
Going to be
It's
Looking for his
on
kid's
some
Christmas
level,
toy.
but-
yeah, or he's in kindergarten or whatever.
It's anyway.
A lot of but see, I don't think this was a good movie. I don't think it was well made. And we're sitting there. I was sitting with my friend
Might actually
Joanne,
be
and we're
better than
like,
Green Lantern.
oh, we were sitting there thinking, all right. I said, I fart joke within the first.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
I said,
This is so
fart joke.
This is just
Hitting the
disgusting.
balls joke. And
John, it's not a fart joke. It is an actual poop. Watching a penguin poop without cutting away. I mean, you're just seeing the poop fly out of the penguin's butt.
See?
You know, the thing is, I would rather watch that than see Green Lantern again. I would rather watch.
I think if
a
Green
penguin
Lantern
poop.
pooped like a penguin,
And then there's like the joke about why you think you're so special because your poop's white. I mean, what was
You know, out of context, that kind of sounds funny to me. That kind of sounds like a funny line.
unbelievable?
Were you angry when you went in, Steve, or did the movie make you angry? Because you sound angry now about it.
Well, it started out okay. It started out all right. I mean, it's a quality film. You know, I wouldn't say it's an absolute piece of garbage. I mean, it's well made. I mean, I have seen enough movies that have, you know, broken the rules of filmmaking simply because the people who made the movie didn't know what they were doing.
We just spent an hour talking about one.
Yeah. So this has the construct of, you know, people really knew what they were doing, but. I guess if you had to follow the laws of physics, you couldn't make a movie like this.
You get to watch.
How do you ship a penguin to someone's apartment that arrives in a refrigerated, sealed compartment crate?
Steve?
You know, with like what kind of energy source is inside this box that's protecting these penguins?
Well, they probably shipped it on a refrigerated truck, you know, and then dropped it off there, and it was still cold when he got it. Because that's how it works when I get my Omaha steaks.
Yeah,
I assume it's the same principle. Do
your steaks thaw out and become part of the family?
And not usually. No, they thaw and they become part of lunch. But deal with it now, because you're going to have to watch this same exact movie with Kevin James and a zoo in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think it really rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
It just
Was your dad an explorer?
You know, I could have, as a kid, I could have gone to go see. No, my dad was an explorer, but and then apparently, so Jim Carrey his character also has a father issue thing here because his father didn't spend enough time with them. Their main communication as children was basically over a CB radio, wherein they would use their secret codes to communicate, and the father would tell him, "Oh, I'm in Paris right now. Oh, I'm going down to this country, and I'm in." So the stories.
Sorry, I can't be there for your birthday, son.
Right. You know, everything was sort of second best to his father's egotistical need to whatever go to whatever place he wants to go to.
A movie character with absentee father issues? You're shitting me, really?
I know.
So this apparently leads to the type of overcompensating character that Jim Carrey is in real life, and he lives in this fantasy apartment. This is like this ultra-mod, hugely rich kind of apparently he owns like the whole half-top floor of this building with a balcony that's like a backyard on the top of this building in Manhattan.
Lots of stainless steel reflecting the cold nature of his impersonal life.
Exactly.
You have seen it.
Right, and then even if a chair at the dinner table is out of place, he has to like tweak it back into position. So he has a perfectly set, you know, down to the minutia, you know, everything in this apartment is perfect. So when you bring in the penguins, they completely frigging trash it.
They poop
and that's
on it.
the whole, you know, it's basically
they flood the bathroom.
Oh, is there a penguin in the toilet joke?
Yes,
must be.
Oh yeah, with the penguins swimming around. You know, all the, and then he names them all, and he's basically, you know, lying to his family about how it's like a gift to his kids.
Are they somehow able to infiltrate shelves and doors and things like that?
They nest in the refrigerator.
Yeah, really? Wow.
Yeah. And so I
bet he learns what's really important by having all of these things around.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we all did.
He should just call up Charles Grodin from the Beethoven movies and just ask him.
So he right before his family arrives and his family finds the penguins, and by the way, he has a neighbor who lives across the hall who's trying to get his apartment. So he's basically been paying the front desk guy to say that, you know, nothing bad is happening, and, you know, but if something, you know, if he can get this, if Jim Carrey kicked out, he can get the apartment. Because the other thing is he's about to call. He's most of the film, you know, he's trying to get rid of the penguins. So he calls Clark Gregg, who is one of the penguin guys at the Bronx Zoo. He's like the penguin expert. He comes in and
wait, Clark Gregg is in this?
Yeah.
Does he invite Mr. Popper to join the Avengers?
He should.
Well, so you know the whole joke about Clark Gregg. Well, so what are you, the freaking penguin expert? Yes, I am. And what Clark Gregg doesn't tell him, that these are rare penguins, not just any penguins.
Wait, is he an evil bureaucrat?
Yes.
Wow. Middle level bureaucrat.
Oh, so he's frustrated middle management.
Pretty much.
The neighbor. Hold on. Obnoxious ethnic stereotype or obnoxious Jewish stereotype?
Jewish.
Really? Wow.
So yeah. So basically,
Yes.
Am I good or what?
Who plays?
you're good, Bob.
Oh,
Who plays the woman that Jim Carrey has to schmooze out of her property? Which happens to be Tavern on the Green. The only piece of privately owned real estate in Central Park.
She got a couple of oohs and ahs when she appeared.
Oh yeah, I didn't know she was still alive.
Oh my God!
Jessica
Mrs. Van
Tandy,
Gundy,
Irma P. Hall.
Angela Lansbury.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She is into her 80s, I'm sure.
Oh no.
Here's the other thing, and it's pretty obvious too. When you're in Jim Carrey's situation and you're separated from your hot wife, who plays the hot wife?
Kate Bosworth, Kate Beckinsale,
Carla
Gugino.
Carla Gugino. Really? Wow.
There is actually a funny minor character. Is his personal assistant.
with the pee problem.
Yeah, what's her name?
I don't know, but she talks
it.
in alliteration, and it is one of the funny. She just says peas all the time, and one of the lines is
Pippi.
Yeah, and one of the lines Jim Carrey goes, she doesn't even know she's doing it.
So everything is in peas. It's actually fun. That's good. That's good. So anyway, Clark Gregg, what he doesn't tell Mr. Popper is the fact that these are rare penguins, and that so Greg decides that these penguins are going to die if they're in his care. They're not properly cared for the way they need to be cared for. But he has dollar signs in his head. He wants to take the penguins and then sell them to another zoo so they can get their tiger or their elephant or any sort of animal that the
there's a lot of mustache twirling when the official guy shows up.
It's a movie. The experts are always wrong, or correct, or something else. Clearly, Jim Carrey knows much more about animal care.
There are a couple of funny Jim Carrey moments, especially the slow motion one at the end, where he pretends to be in slow motion as he arrives at the venue at the last minute.
On Living Color,
that was good.
But think about the science you learned in this, Steve.
Oh, good
Penguins
Lord.
love Charlie Chaplin movies.
Oh my God!
Did you know that?
Right.
Did you? They like to be
just
picked up
generally
and
love watching
squeezed
TV
over the
and cable.
toilet so they can poop. They line up for that.
See, that actually sounds like
really?
That actually sounds like good physical comedy. Like I can see that working.
That penguins don't actually care about you, according to Clark Gregg. Penguins only care about the person who's holding the fish. They will only do what the person who's holding the fish tells them to do.
But I bet he's wrong.
At the end, he is.
Oh well.
At the end, when the penguins show up at the last minute.
Because his father gave him his father who passed away.
Oh right.
By the way, sent him the penguins from some unknown place.
How did they get Jim Carrey?
That the reason these penguins are good is because I was a father who wasn't there. But these penguins are loyal, and they will always be there for you. Which
is written down in a note that Jim Carrey gets knocked under a table when the penguin first comes out of the box. But then, right when he's at the worst part of his life, he discovers the note, reads it from his dad, and then it all you can hear the pieces clicking into place. Did you know penguins have flight envy?
Oh, that's right.
Because every time one of them sees something fly, he starts flapping his wings.
And they know what to do when they have a kite tied to their back. It just goes.
There's a penguin with a kite on his back?
Yeah.
See, now I want to see this. This doesn't sound bad. I feel like I'm in the mood for a movie with someone squeezing poop out of a penguin after Green Lantern.
Kids, earmuffs, kids. Get a little high. It won't hurt you. And, leave the science books at home. Just go
right, or the fact that people just won't notice you when you're walking down the street. 2.5 foot tall penguins walking down Fifth Avenue.
If I saw penguins in New York, I'd notice, but I don't think I'd say anything.
They must have gone from somewhere downtown. I'm guessing maybe 50th Street, all the way up into the Bronx without anybody freaking knowing them.
Central Park Zoo. I think it was Central Park. I don't think it was the Bronx.
Was it Central Park Zoo?
Yeah.
There was a zoo in Central Park?
Yeah, there's a zoo in Central Park. That's where the Madagascar movies take place.
I thought it was a Bronx Zoo.
There is a Bronx Zoo, but I'm pretty sure the entrance was the Central Park Zoo.
Okay. All right, so maybe it was 10 blocks.
Mr. Popper lives at the Renaissance Hotel, which I've stayed at many a junket. That's the outside of the Renaissance Hotel he stays at. It has no balcony or apartments like that inside. But
there's no first-class living suite in the
no, but when the penguins come out and can smell they're because they latch on with identity, like you're our dad or whatever. So when they walk out of the hotel, they're like,
like ducklings hatch when they first see you. When they come out of that crate, they're like frigging attached to him. He lives this like hermetic life in this building.
And ducks, strangely enough, do not like Charlie Chaplin. They're more Buster Keaton fans.
I'm still disgusted and annoyed by the film. But if you guys want to recommend it, fine.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say. Now I want to.
Fun. It wasn't great. It's like a 2-star.
So if this is a hit, if this is a hit, will Adam Sandler's a Boston guy, will he make way for ducklings?
No.
That might not be a bad feature film idea, but you can imagine how crazy they'd go with it.
I can see Adam Sandler as the what is it, the crossing guard in Make Way for Ducklings. Everybody,
can you imagine what they do with Make Way for Ducklings?
Oh my God!
They just got to. What are they going to do? They got to get to the pond in Boston Common over there.
Well,
right?
the ducks will talk.
The ducks would talk.
The ducks would talk, and they'll be like an otter or something in the pond that they have to get past.
Yeah, so basically it's just like they got to get through Beacon Hill.
It'll be like the Balrog.
And the adventures on the way to the pond.
Throw a cameo from a couple Red Sox in there, and you'll be all set.
Yeah.
Make a joke about the duck boat. Make constant jokes about the duck boat.
Or have some sort of a swan attack. Something like that.
Adam Sandler will be on the phone. You gotta get down here, doing like that scrunchy face. There's ducks.
Oh my God.
That's copyright me, by the way. So if someone makes this movie now, you owe me, the screenplay thing for that. Do you hear me, Sandler?
All right, and still the most entertaining, or actually it was kind of frightening, the fight that broke out in the middle of all films. I think out of all the press screenings we've gone to, we're very fortunate that we get to see these. I'm grateful. There was only one time. There was during Daredevil. There was a vociferous argument over a seat. And that I hadn't forgotten. That got kind of really angry right before the movie. Some other people, and then this film, there was actually some fight that broke out, like maybe in the last couple of rows. But it was like, how could these people be doing this in a theater half filled with children?
Who shows up drunk and angry to Mr. Popper's Penguin? Well, you showed up angry, clearly.
Well, I don't think they were drunk. I think it had something to do with some guy accidentally like shoving somebody's seat, and it was like somebody's wife actually getting.
Oh, is this one of those guys who's like, hey man, you nudged my girlfriend, now we have to fight?
Yeah, I love the uncomfortability in the theater.
I love those guys. I love guys for whom their female partners are just like a bumper that gives them an excuse to fight people. It's like she's like, "Ow, someone push me," and the guy's like, "No, we're gonna fight."
Incomprehensibly inconsiderate to the entire theater that this guy is going to do this. That they're going to have this showdown in the middle of Mr. Popper's Penguins. Maybe that's what when you have an open screening like this that people can attend. Who knows? Anyway. All right.
Not that film critics don't love attending open screenings with members of the public.
No comment.
Comment, John?
No, nothing.
We gotta move on. We've already. I think we've popped Mr. Popper's Penguins.
Almost at the hour.
Okay. Yes. Right. Picks of the week. One of the films that it's an anime that I have been digging. I'm still in the process of enjoying it. It's called Dancing in the Vampire Bund. Or maybe John, you can help me with this.
Vampire Bund or Bunt?
Bund.
So it's not about a cake.
No.
No.
It's about it's Steve's pick.
Oh shit! I don't have it with me. I gotta edit this.
Put it over there.
Oh, just put it over here. Okay. It's Dance the Vampire Bund.
All right, cool.
From Funimation, and it is a intriguingly violent anime about a future society in which the vampires from Romania have decided to take up residence in a bund outside of Tokyo, and at the same time attend a high school.
All right.
Wherein the key players here are the other, kids in the high school who are either friends with and trying to help, or enemies of the Vampire Bund.
An anime set in a high school? You're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you. I know.
There will be nudity and blood.
Yeah, exactly.
There is. And basically, it's the one vampire that you didn't think was going to be the vampire, and it reveals herself to be the goddess queen of all vampires, who happens to be a high school student. Hot.
All powerful yet shy withdrawn teenage girl.
Exactly.
Man, do I know my.
Yes, and so she is revealed in sort of a game show. They have it's like a game show that's like
Vampires Real.
What was that game show that was like something from the 50s, 60s with Jack Pryor, like what's my line, or the one where the three contestants would show up and two would pretend to be someone, but one was the actual person. Yeah. So they have that sort of to tell the truth type of game show where they're trying to convince or prove that vampires either exist or do not exist, and obviously they exist.
Kind of a fun way to.
Sounds strangely subdued for a Japanese game show.
But all this stuff is revealed, and in the following episodes, the people who saw this particular show aren't entirely convinced that it was real because it was all on TV, and anyway. So I'm still in the middle of it. But John, you've probably seen more.
We find out that the cute high school boy is actually a werewolf sworn to protect the vampire
werewolf
queen.
Protector, right.
And then there are 3 other bloodlines of vampires who want her kicked out. It gets pretty. The only thing trouble I had with it, I love the artwork. I thought the stories were good, but the first 6 episodes follow that one plot line about setting up the bunt. And
it does take a while to do that.
And then after episodes 7 to 12 are a different storyline, and they kind of stumble around trying to figure. It's almost like they pitched the idea. Okay, we made it. Oh, you got any more? Oh yeah, we got. Here's one, and they came up with the second idea. So it takes a little while to generate any heat for the second part of the story. But
the animation is actually really fascinating. I mean, it focuses on a lot of close-ups, and things are kind of glowy, bright, and it's like a confection.
Yeah.
Like I imagine myself watching this and having like Pop-Tarts and Ding Dongs and eating bad junk food, because it's kind of like it's a bit dingling, but it's entertaining, because at the same time it's like at the extreme of like being really sappy. It has these surprisingly violent moments that kind of like throw you. Whoa.
There's an assassination of that someone tries to kill the vampire queen, and they do it. It's another group of vampires, and they do it. Everyone's like searched as they come into this press conference. And what they do is everyone gets searched and get through, but then the vampires kill a newscaster and then rip her guts out and stick a bomb inside her. And then she's the living dead with a bomb inside her trying to kill the queen. It's just like, and then of course they have to stop her, rip the bomb out, and all this other stuff. It gets pretty intense. It's when you kind of choke on those ding dongs.
This is one of those. This is one of the things that I love about anime is that the more an anime series looks like it was made for like 7-year-old girls, the more likely it is that its intended audience are 30-year-old men.
And then it has these shockingly, I don't know, like just moments that I just did not expect.
Japan is interesting.
Went over, like you think it's a kid's thing, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, this person's being ogled in the sense that
she may be a 300-year-old vampire, but she does have the body of a 12-year-old girl. She really needs to put her shirt back on.
Yeah, it looks
suggestive imagery. They make the point of like apparently part of going to high school in this particular high school is about like the short skirts. And if you didn't want the guy to see your underwear, perhaps don't wear the short skirts.
You've just entered the world of anime. Wait until you see something like Strike Witches, where every time someone gets punched, their pants explode.
Or in every time the
panty shot is the staple of anime.
Yeah.
Every time the freaking wind blows, the panty flows up, and then they cut to the shot, but the guy's head is like right in front of his skirt blowing up.
I've got anime stuff that would blow your mind.
If it was a live action movie and someone's skirt blew up, you'd be like, that was an accident. Someone had to draw those scenes.
The vampire bund and the billowing skirts.
If this was a live action movie, you could probably be arrested for owning it, given the approximate ages of some of these characters, I imagine.
Right. I'm going to recommend something here called Kingdom of War, Part 1 and 2.
Okay. Ooh, I have that. I have not seen it.
It takes almost 6 hours to watch.
Wow.
And it's the story of King Nariswan the Great, who liberated the Siamese Siamese from the control of Burma. And I'm reading that because this epic, and it's by the same people who put out Ong Bak and all these other Siamese fighting films. And the first section is almost
fighting film?
Are they Burmese? Siamese?
Thai.
Whatever.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Well, that would be interesting.
They take the first half of this epic is about the kid growing up in a Buddhist monk within a Buddhist monastery. Really slow. Beautiful to look at, but just really slow. And then there's all the fighting in the second part. But by then, you realize that you've actually come to care about these characters after the first 3 hours of watching them grow up together. Really good stuff. I didn't think I'd make it through the whole 6 hours, but I did.
So it's a part 1 and a part 2?
Part 1 and 2, yeah.
And are they contained as separate movies themselves, or is it...
Yeah, well, I think if you just sat down for part 2 to see the action, you'd be lost because it just starts, and you've got all the background. They don't introduce all the characters because you've seen them all before, and then, it's one of those things where I recognize you as from the first movie because you got the same hair you did when you were a little kid, or, hey, you guys are hanging out together. You must be the 2 little kids who hung out together from the first part. But really, really well done and gorgeous photography. It was like, that Peter O'Toole, Bernardo Bertolucci, Chinese epic. You know what I mean?
The Last Emperor?
Yeah. It's like that quality of cinematography.
Wow.
Not that great a setting because it's the jungles of Siam, but still really good stuff. Yeah. Really
cool.
Good. So I would recommend that.
What was your, I'm sorry?
It's worth a 6-hour investment. And I don't say that much with foreign movies.
Anything you'd recommend listeners check out?
Yeah, actually, I got down one on don't know how new it is to it, but just recently showed up on Netflix Instant. Is a locally produced. We're recording this in Massachusetts. Locally produced movie called God of Vampires. Just turned up on Netflix Instant. In the interest of full disclosure, a movie that I produced and appeared in. Screened with this once at a film showing in Salem, but this was made in and around Salem in New Hampshire, Salem, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. It's a American-made, completely independent Chinese vampire movie. So Chinese vampires versus American good guys. Very, very good low-budget horror movie, well put together, very creative. If you like Evil Dead or the early Peter Jackson movies, very much in the same vein. Very creative use of stuff. A guy has an enchanted chainsaw. I'll give that to you. It's very well put together. A lot of fun for indie horror fans.
Cool. I actually want to get a couple more titles in really quickly. Okay, I was talking about beforehand. I saw True Grit again this week, and considering how many bad movies I've seen, pretty much recently, of course, in this week, I was so incredibly impressed with True Grit, how well it is written, photographed, paced, acted. I mean, I just wanted to watch it just to get the feel for it again. I ended up getting sucked in. Yep. Matt Damon's performance, fantastic. Haley, what's her name, Steinfeld, who plays Maddie, just terrific. I mean, I can't say enough about the film. The Blu-ray has a whole bunch of terrific extras, but it's just come out, and if you want, if you're fed up with the bad movies, man, it's just it was really good.
It's a sound film.
And for just shits and giggles, get the John Wayne version and make a night of it.
Yeah, watch the two of them.
The Brattle had a double feature.
Yeah, the Brattle had a double feature of both True Grits. And
for the record, the Brattle's a theater in Cambridge that many of us go to.
They're both well made in their own right. The John Wayne one hasn't aged as well, but you can see the bad guy,
Tom Chaney.
No, Ned Pepper.
Yeah.
Is Robert Duvall in the first one, and it's Barry. No, it's not Ned. It's Barry Pepper.
Barry Pepper in the new one.
But is his name Ned Pepper or
Ned Chaney?
Whatever.
I think it's Tom Chaney.
Tom Chaney is James Brolin, and he's someone else. But Barry Pepper plays the same character as Robert Duvall, and you can see him channeling it if you watch him. And there's no comparison between what Jeffrey Bridges does and John Wayne does, but it's just an interesting, different take on the same, story.
I'll give some comparison. Jeff Bridges does better.
And talk about better. Who's better, Matt Damon or Glenn Campbell?
Matt Damon does a better job. John Wayne does a really good version of John Wayne in True Grit.
Yeah.
But Jeff Bridges actually kind of plays a character.
Yeah.
Which is different. I love the original True Grit, but John Wayne, when he said, that he played the same character in every movie, he was right.
Yeah. And John, you were saying about Matt Damon's performance.
Right.
This is a little.
He was on a talk show, and in the movie in True Grit, he gets hit in the mouth and bites his tongue. And through the second half of the movie, he talks funny, like he's got a bitten tongue or a cut tongue. And he actually put his daughter's hair, like an elastic from her hair, around his tongue. That's why he talks like that. But take it even further. The book that True Grit is based on, written by Charles Portis. Ed Simkis, one of our fellow reviewers, gave me a copy of the book because when he did the junket, they gave him an extra copy. It's a great read. It's a great read. It's a short. It's like 150 pages.
Old school, no bullshit. Does he contract?
No. Isn't that fascinating? It does not contract. I just love that little detail of it all.
Everybody's a Lieutenant Data. Yeah. Man, I had a couple more quick things I want to recommend. Mill Creek Entertainment has started coming out with these 3 movies on DVD collections. One of them is See This Movie, and I saw this movie. It's with with Seth Meyers and John Cho from Harold and Kumar, and it's basically about this guy who pretends to be dying of a brain tumor in order to get his film admitted into a festival in Montreal that his girl is running. So
I like it.
They get into the festival without a film, just on the sympathy card. So they basically got 3 days to make a movie, which is going to be in a premiere spot in the festival. And it's mockumentary-ish. It's fun. It's a good title.
I like John Cho. I want to see him in more stuff.
Yeah, he's good. And it looks like really improvised. And if if through a certain eye, if you looked at this, things could be like, it's not that great. But the humor kind of works on you. It doesn't work immediately, but you give the movie a chance. See this movie. It's actually pretty funny. Also got sent a copy of a movie I digged as a kid that my parents took me to. And this is how I remember Treat Williams. I think of Treat Williams. I think of Hair in 1941 and the way he gets the crap beat out of him in 1941. But kids of this, 20, 30 something of this generation may not resonate with this. I mean, I guess they probably do. Treat Williams was a star.
I watched half of it last night, actually. Yeah.
And from when did this come out?
Yeah. Kids, Hair is one of those movies that you can watch and then go to your parents, and the next time they say blah blah blah, what you watch is shit, what you listen to is shit, they say, oh yeah.
But the horses in Central Park. Yeah. I mean, they tried. The production design tried to really put this back. It's 10 years from when it was filmed.
It's no Godspell.
And they gave it a. Yeah, I get the two confused. I really did enjoy Godspell.
Well, Hair was just in town on the live show, and the live show was great. And I was watching this last night, and it hasn't aged well. Milos Forman does not know how to film dance sequences very well.
That's certainly not his thing. I don't know why they chose him to direct this movie.
Has the biggest eyebrows this side of Salma Hayek and Frida.
Yeah, but the hippies in the park, man.
No, it's just... And John Savage is the nerd from Oklahoma.
Yeah, that was okay.
I couldn't get into it at all.
But from a point of view of the 70s, this was something.
It was nostalgia for a couple years ago.
But 79
works for me.
Beverly D'Angelo, hubba.
Wow, where's she been?
And this movie's even groovier on Blu-ray.
Speaking of Beverly D'Angelo, she was in what was this movie? She was in
Vacation?
No, she did a trauma movie called Pterodactyl Woman from Beverly Hills.
Oh my God.
Seen this? No, she actually she turns into a pterodactyl.
I'll watch that.
It's pretty terrible.
I don't care.
It's good.
I'm gonna write
a little bit.
Pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl woman from Beverly Hills. Pterodactyl spelled with a T.
Woman.
Spelled with a P.
Oh, right.
Pterodactyl.
That's how Pippi pronounced things.
Pterodactyl.
Like Jim Carrey was suffering from.
She would say the silent P.
Right. He was suffering from pneumonia.
See, that sounds funny to me. Is it Zooey Deschanel or is it someone else playing Zooey Deschanel's part? It's Zooey Deschanel.
No, someone else playing
I
her part.
forget her name. It is Ophelia Lovebard. Ophelia Lovebond?
That's going to be your stage name.
No, that could be your real name.
Pippi is Ophelia Lovebond.
Lovable. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that sounds like a woman that I would like pick up outside like the Berklee College of Music or something.
Yeah.
One more quick recommendation.
Before they were all Asian.
Criterion has released the 1985 Nicholas Roeg film Insignificance, which I think we briefly talked about last week.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about it. I don't know if it was in a recorded conversation, but this is Albert Einstein, Marilyn Monroe, Joe DiMaggio, and Senator George McCarthy, played by
The professor, the actress, the ball player, and the senator.
Right, all meeting in a New York hotel room in the mid-50s, and the chaos that ensues, wherein Joe DiMaggio thinks that Marilyn Monroe is cheating on him with Albert Einstein. Tony Curtis.
Very sweaty Tony Curtis.
Yes, in a scene that I could not believe, in a pretty open sex scene with Tony Curtis, which was kind of repulsive.
I love you, Spartacus.
But it happens. It happens.
But having the actress explain the theory of relativity using a balloon, a flashlight, and a choo-choo train.
The whole that's actually a terrific scene.
Yeah.
The whole inverse idea of like society doesn't accept her because they think she's a beautiful blonde bimbo, but she's actually so smart that she can't handle this relationship with Joe DiMaggio anymore. That it's just driving her up the wall.
Fantastic acting. I mean, Gary Busey as Joe DiMaggio, or the ball player.
Yeah.
And Teresa Russell is the actress. You know. Just and she's stunning in this movie. She's just so.
She really is.
This is one of those movies that you can watch and say, you look at a lot of actors who've kind of become like punchlines. It's just like, no, this is why people gave a shit about these people in the first place.
Right.
You know,
right.
This is the Tony Curtis to me was really good in this, but also I guess if they're going for a certain amount of repulsiveness, that kind of happens. The fellow who plays Albert Einstein really actually very well cast. This looks like it could have been a play because so much of it takes place in a hotel room. And the other thing is that Joe DiMaggio's character kind of comes off as like a Mickey Mantle type because you just the body type of Gary Busey and Marilyn. But yeah, I guess it's Joe DiMaggio. Although they don't.
No,
they have different names in the film.
In the booklet,
visually we know who they are.
In the booklet, he just refers to him as you know. He didn't want you. The writer, I forget his name, the guy who wrote the play and the screenplay, didn't want you. He was basically saying it's an easy out if you think it's Marilyn. If I call her Marilyn Monroe, if I just say she's the actress, you know, it keeps you from getting the easy way out because it's really a study of what stardom does, and so it's just easier to call her the actress. You know, she has the look and voice and everything else of Marilyn.
Also an appearance by Will Sampson as the Indian, and we know him as the Indian from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, who was actually quite a visible character actor through the 60s and 70s, but through the 70s and 80s, maybe not so recognizable now, but it was kind of neat to see him in this role. So I very much recommend it. And Criterion, man, I just when they put out a movie, it just seems special. You know what I mean? It's just got that special sort of something. It's an event. They pull something out of the past and they make it special.
They package it well. Sometimes the movie and the packaging doesn't work for me. You know. Well,
with Insignificance, they take a piece of artwork that Joe DiMaggio sees in a bar about it's like a glass shattered photo of Marilyn or something like that, and he molds it over like it represents something, and they use that as the key art for the DVD, and I thought that was kind of cool.
They do nice packaging. It's just I think sometimes sometimes I get a feeling in Smoke and Mirrors. It's like, oh, we're going to do the Criterion version of some piece of crap you don't want to see.
But it also says to me that there's something in this that if I think that, I think, well, you know, okay, I'm open to what they have to tell me.
Right.
I'm open to perhaps there's something about this film that I have not appreciated.
There's something significant at like Black Dog is not a great movie, but they gave him the Sam Fuller one about the dog that's like a big dog that.
Why was I thinking Black Dog, Black Mask?
The white dog. I'm sorry, White Dog. Yeah, Criterion did the version. That's the Sam Fuller movie about the dog that only attacks black people. Not a great movie, but it's interesting. Could not make that today. If you brought that premise before people today and said, "No, this is the premise movie," they would say, "Oh hell no, I'm not making this movie."
Yeah, and I think my thing with the Criterion thing is sometimes I read the articles. They always have a booklet with a couple of essays in it. Sometimes I just think the essays are just so much crap.
Oh, come on.
No, I do. I do.
It's a little pretentious, but it's informative.
Some of them can be, some of them aren't.
There's a good one here with by Chuck Stevens, and they've had Amy Taubman's stuff. I dig it.
I'm just saying, some of them come across as they're my senior thesis.
There's a whole lot of people out there who, for some reason, want to be Peter Bogdanovich, and Criterion has employed all of them.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it works, but sometimes
in a way they're teaching
But we need those guys. We need I bag on Bogdanovich, but we need someone to continue telling people why Orson Welles was great.
No, we don't.
Someone has to still be like the boring film professor.
And I will continue to say that Citizen Kane sucks to my dying day. And I'm committed to that philosophy. That movie sucks.
But what about the man who saw
John.
What? It did.
But isn't it fun to read about?
No, sometimes it just annoys the hell out of me that there's just these pompous people pontificating. Oh, you mean Citizen Kane or just...
Are you talking about Peter Bogdanovich? Who, by the way, I think he wants us to know that he is the Orson Welles authority. So...
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy. Can't challenge him on that. I mean, he basically lived with the guy. He had the Orson Welles experience. He knows. He knows Welles.
Bogdanovich cracks me up. I remember when he came in for Cat's Meow.
It is amusing.
He came in to do interviews for Cat's Meow, and it was just he would tell these stories, and he can't help but do the voices. So when he tells an Orson Welles story, he does the Orson Welles voice.
He's like a filmmaker gadfly.
The thing is, see him show up in these crappy movies. Like, oh my God.
The social essence of what it is about being involved in Hollywood and cinema and filmmaking. He's just all about that.
He survived the 70s and he's proud of it.
And he is great friends with Jerry Lewis. He was like, if Jerry Lewis gives him the access, not that Jerry Lewis avoids any access,
is he one of the guys
just the publicity.
Is he one of the guys who's seen The Clown, the day the clown died?
I think he probably has, yes. In fact, I don't know for sure, but I think the few film critics that have been given access to that movie, and Harry Shearer, yes, has seen the film and has affirmed that yes, this is not worth putting out there. But anyway, Peter Bogdanovich, he's a film historian. He's like the film everybody. He's that guy. Yes, and I just went through the as in just like 2 months ago, the experience of Peter Bogdanovich in the Last Picture Show, and the overly comprehensive stuff that Criterion does, and it's great. But there are some discs that Criterion has, and other discs do this, that when you have multiple documentaries, they end up just repeating the same points, and it gets a little redundant. Peter Bogdanovich gets a little redundant.
Yeah. He's that's very obscure. There's an obscure. That's the Peter Bogdanovich segment, ladies and gentlemen. There's like 12 really hardcore film students out there going like, yeah.
Yes, this one from insignificance to Peter Bogdanovich. So I think we're good. After an hour and a half. So, but hey, you can listen to all of our shows online. We're at post-movie.net, and if you have any questions, you can send us an email at contact@post-movie.net, and we're also on Facebook. If you like us there, you get our periodic Facebook updates, but we try to, and I think they're still spread out. The Facebook, the website, Twitter. Well, John's just started doing Twitter.
I'm Twitter king. I tell everyone I'm doing everything. They don't care, but I love telling them.
And Bob, how can people reach you?
People can, watch the show Fridays on EscapistMagazine.com. That's cool. Escape to the Movies. On Tuesday, The Big Picture, which is more general stuff. The Game Overthinker on ScrewAttack.com. Whenever I feel like updating it, you can check out my blog at moviebob.blogspot.com or GameOverthinker.blogspot.com. Follow me on Twitter at @the_Moviebob. And for the love of God, please do not pay pay money to see Green Lantern. Seriously.
What about your political column? You're up to 6.
The political show is on YouTube. It's called
7.
American Bob.
You got 2 more jobs between the first introduction you did and this one. Now you've got 7.
You know, another thing I wanted to say is John's got a very lively, John has a lively fan base. Bob has a lively fan base at his blog, and there have been some comments on some of the things you posted there and some comments on the show that I've wanted to respond to that I haven't had the chance to. And even John had some responses. Like one reader last week said, John, in talking about, 2 weeks ago, what was it talking? Maybe it was 2 weeks, talking about X-Men, saying that John's just making things up now. He's just making things up to try and bring this movie down.
It's on
pretty much.
It's on Blogger, but it's got you can log into that if you have not Blogger TW. So if you have like a Gmail account, or if you have a YouTube name, you can log in and comment that way, and then you can log into Blogger. It's all pretty much connected.
I will continue to make shit up.
Yeah.
to hold down the fort in terms of
did any of us notice, was there at any point a squirrel in the background of Green Lantern? I was supposed to look for this for someone to see if that was there. Did anyone see a squirrel?
That's past me by.
Probably
I'll have
not.
to see it again.
Good Lord.
There's a Green Lantern who's a squirrel named Chip, like CH''P.
Oh my God.
And his nemesis is Truck, because a truck is the natural enemy of the squirrel.
So Sony,
This reminds me, like, this is old school. We would get those golden anniversary editions of Superman, and it'd be like a reprint of a good Superman, a half-assed Superman, and then the Superdog episode.
Crypto the Superdog.
Yeah, or the monkey. Yeah. Or there'd be like that 2-page adventure. It'd be like
Beppo the Super Ape.
you had to just they had to make it to 80 pages, so they would throw in the worst crap.
And maybe a story about Supergirl and her horse, which is actually a person that is in love with her, and she doesn't know.
So you could give any animal a Green Lantern ring, and it would turn into the whatever.
If I had Green Lantern rings, I would be doing.
Isn't it supposed to think? Isn't the Green Lantern? Isn't the whole green thing supposed to know that, like, you're supposed to be sentient and smart and capable?
But if you're on a planet
and judged worthy of the ring.
If you're on a planet of chipmunks, I think you're okay. There is a Green Lantern who actually is a planet. There's a sentient, Mogo. He's sentient.
He's
planet.
involved in the Emerald Knights.
Yeah, Mogo is an Emerald Knight. Okay, now I have.
So what do? You put a Saturn ring around it?
He's got a giant
arranges his continents to look like the Green Lantern logo because he's a sentient planet. So he looks like that. It's DC Comics are weird,
kind
man.
of inconsiderate to his inhabitants.
There are no inhabitants. Mogo doesn't socialize. That's actually that's the name of his intro story, was Mogo doesn't socialize. In the movie, you can see one of them has a picture of a bell instead of a lantern on his chest, because in his universe, because where he's from, there's no visibility, so he doesn't have eyes, so it's all about sound. So he thinks of himself as not the Green Lantern, but the F-sharp bell.
We have to put Green Lantern down.
Yeah.
It has to be put down and out of commission.
Don't pay for it.
All right.
Until next week, this is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everyone.